Hey y'all, and welcome to our South Georgia garden. As you can see, we're out here by our fallen tree.
Yes, we call this the fallen tree garden because in 2023, Hurricane Ida came through and blew this tree over. We actually saw it falling from our great room looking out the window. And when it fell, we thought, oh no, what a mess to clean up.
Yeah, so we weren't quite sure what to do, so I said, well, why don't we just use it as garden art?
It was a great idea, Belinda, because since then we have looked up and found out about hugelkultur, which is using wood and debris to make a garden bed, which we've done. We cut up pieces of this tree and burned pieces of it and just put those ashes and pieces underneath the trunk of this tree. And we planted roses, clematis, and other vining plants all along this tree.
Right, so it's become a great garden area, and we really enjoy planting here.
Yes, and we use our imagination a good bit, as Belinda did when she said, let's make this garden art. There's a piece of it that looks sometimes like a kangaroo and another piece that looks like a giraffe. We see birds land on them and we watch the roses in the springtime when they're blooming. And it just is a beautiful piece of garden art in our very own backyard.
Right, and now it's late fall, so there's not much blooming here, but you can still see the things that are evergreen.
Yes, and this isn't the only piece of garden art we have, is it, Belinda?
Right, so we're going to show you some of the other pieces that we have used our imagination and have creatively put the other pieces into our gardens.
So come along with us as we look at garden art.
But before we move on, we wanted to show you how this fallen tree garden looked back in the spring in its full blooming glory.
This first stump here was one of the 8 trees that came down in Hurricane Helene. And we were trying to be so optimistic, so we said, well, let's turn the stump into a work of art and just leave it in the garden. So,
yes, Belinda, that was a great idea. So then we actually, in doing our cleanup after Hurricane Helene, we created this eagle's nest on top of the stump, found an eagle sculpture, and attached it over top of the stump.
Right, so actually all of the debris from the cleanup of this oak was left in the bed. The large trunks were left in the bed, and then the rest of it we had ground up to use as mulch.
Yes, and the other positive thing that we can say about being gardeners is this bed was much smaller before that hurricane and the tree came down. We had to enlarge it to incorporate all of the debris from the tree, and it gave us more area in which to plant.
Right, so this eagle gives us hope, and as Georgia Southern alumni, we appreciate the eagle even more.
Yes, it is so fitting right here near Georgia Southern.
This view from the drone shows how much the Bird Girl garden bed was enlarged. In the center of the bed, you can see that we've placed the large trunk parts of the tree, and then we've outlined it with smaller limbs.
As you can see, the eagle's nest anchors this end of the garden as we take a long view across the eagle's nest.
Here we are in front of a stump that was from a tree that fell down also during Hurricane Helene right alongside our barn.
Yeah, it did a little bit of damage to our barn, but not that much. But we thought, since we're in the country, how wonderful it would be to have a rooster somewhere around.
Yes, so we found this rooster at a local feed and seed store and brought him home with us.
Yeah, and we lovingly refer to him as Rooster Cogburn.
Yes, and we feel like Marshall Cogburn here, Rooster Cogburn, keeps watch over us here in our gardens.
As you can see, the stump is at an angle. And it's that way because we had the tree company just cut the trunk off as it fell. We left the stump at the angle, and what looks like a mound or a hill behind it is actually the root ball sticking up out of the ground. But we felt this stump was a good perch for Rooster Cogburn.
This stump was from a tree that the arborist cut off a good bit taller. So we decided we'd use this stump as a rose arbor.
Yes, so we planted Peggy Martin. She's also growing along our fallen tree garden, but we just recently planted her, and you can see she is covering this stump and will by the time spring comes.
And in spring, we can look forward to her putting forth her glorious blooms.
She has wonderful blooms. Peggy Martin, also known as the Hurricane Rose.
We already were creating a woodland garden, and then when this tree toppled, we had the stump placed down in its hole again, and we decided that we would put some herons along the stump to make it another piece of art.
Yes, and it goes so well with the lake that's just behind us and having the herons on this stump. And our woodland garden will one day be a woodland again. We have some trees planted here, but this stump is just a wonderful piece of art with herons on it.
Right, so we're adding more trees, as Mark said, and shrubs, and this again, as we said, is in late fall. So the only thing that's colorful right now is our evergreens.
Yes.
But the herons make a beautiful statement.
They do, and they make us smile when we think of this piece of artwork.
When East Georgia Tree Service was cleaning this tree up, they cut the trunk off the stump and asked what did we want to have done with the stump. We said stand it back up. But the hole where the root ball had come up had collapsed on itself. So the gnarly roots of this tree would not stand back up in the hole. We had to stand up on the mound for us to plant around it.
Yes, and having the stump up on the mound gives it a lot of character and actually gives us more place for planting.
This is the largest stump from the largest tree that came down.
Yes, 49 inches in diameter. And this tree, when it came down, of course, left a big hole, the crater, and the saint that you see there actually was in the hole. We had to rescue the saint.
Right, so we had the tree workers got the saint out of the hole, and we had them place the stump back into its crater. And again, we wanted to use it as garden art. So we call this our miracle garden because it was such a miracle that we were not harmed when this tree fell on our house.
Yes, and since we have the saint here, and this is the patron saint of gardeners, that we thought it was so appropriate that the saint stay right here in the miracle garden.
Yes, definitely.
You can see this was once a huge, mighty oak that was toppled in the hurricane. And this is now our miracle garden because it's a miracle we weren't harmed when this tree was toppled on our house. You can see the massive root system that came up with this tree right here in our miracle garden.
And 9 months later, the garden was filled with plants from seeds that had reseeded themselves around this mighty stump. our house had been repaired and we were able to be back in our home again. So this massive stump is a piece of artwork that reminds us that we are truly blessed.
We hope you enjoyed watching our video about some of the natural elements that we have used as garden art in our garden.
Yes, and if you'd like to know more about that journey that we've taken in using those elements, you may want to go back and look at the video, Our South Georgia Garden, A New Beginning.
Yes, it was quite amazing when we look back at that video and see some of the scenes that took place here.
Yes, as we've heard so many people say, sometimes looking back on something is so amazing when you realize what you've gone through and how your garden has changed.
And so we hope that maybe this video will inspire you to look around your garden and see what are some things that you can use that are there naturally. Or if, as we did, if you have some type of mishap and maybe one of your beloved trees has to come down, that you can use it as a memorial in your garden.
I think the lesson we've learned from this is sometimes as gardeners, you also have to be an artist and use your imagination.
Right, and you can turn those lemons into lemonade.
Yes. Speaking of lemonade, oh, we don't have lemonade, but we've got some sweet tea here.
Yeah, I think it's time for some sweet tea. But before we do that, why don't we invite people to put some comments below if you have something you'd like to tell us about some garden art you've created.
Yes, we'd love to know, and follow along with us. We would love to know your experiences as well. So now it's time for that sweet tea, I believe.
Now it's time for sweet tea.
Cheers from our South Georgia garden.